Hello, welcome to another episode of You Ask, I Answer. It's been a while. I get the occasion emails from friends or viewers that sometimes ask questions that I think is good to replay my answer to the mass because I think it's worth repeating it in a video so that if somebody had the same question in the future, I don't have to repeat myself and just refer them to the video if I can remember which video it is. That's the worst part that I had to deal with for me, is that I make so many videos, yes, and occasionally when people ask me, Nick, did you ever make a video about this topic? My answer is usually yeah, but I don't remember where it is. Okay, so it's one thing to make the video, it's another thing to remember it later. Anyhow, one of the questions I got a few times from a few different people is that when a book is restored, let's say you have a restore 6.0, okay, is there a way to estimate what that book is in a blue label? I'm sure you have heard of this question before, some of you. And some of you may even wonder about this question because some of you may contemplate buying a restore book and unrestore it in order to resell it in a blue label at a higher price. Okay, that's not news. Okay, if it's news, then I don't know where you've been, but for most of us who has been in this hobby for the past many years, that is something that had been going on as long as I can remember, way back in 2008 when I returned to the hobby. It's just more common now than ever. That's why some people are fighting over purple label, especially when it's not trimming. When it's trim, not much you can do there, but when it's color touch, glue, tear seals, there's a whole lot of things that can be undone. Even though the book might look a little bit uglier, it can be undone. Well, back to the question, is there a way to estimate the grade? The answer is not really, because it is not a blanket set of rules where you say, if a book is a 6, unrestored will get you a 4, it's going to be a 2 full point knockdown. So if you have a 3.0 unrestored, you knock it down 2 point to a 1.0. There's no such thing. There is no such thing that you can use. Okay, some people like to throw out situation where they think, they know, they don't. Just because a book went from a 6.0 purple label to a 4.0 blue label does not mean another 6.0 purple label will go down to a 4.0 blue. It's all depend on where the restoration are. Could be multiple spot, and also what kind of restoration. So it's one of those situations. For me, I can just speak for myself. For me to determine if something is doable and if the grade down is worth cracking out and unrestore, it has to be something I see with my own eyes, in my own hands. Something I need to see in person to spot exactly where the restoration is and what the book looked like after the restoration is removed. Okay, so for example, this is a non-restore book, but picture a 4-inch corner crease. Okay, a big 4-inch corner crease. This book is really nice. Right now, it looked like let's say an 8.0. Okay, because it's not any kind of major corner creases, just a few wears around the edges. But let's say this book has a 4-inch corner crease, but there's some professional color touch that color in the 4-inch corner crease right here, so it looked like the crease does not break color. It might get a 7.5 purple label, right? But what happens if somebody skillfully take a scalpel or a knife or whatever and scrape off that 4-inch color touch right here? Would this book come back as a 6.0? Because that's what the typical grade is for a book. that look this nice on all the edges but have a 4-inch corner crease? Can it be a 6.0 or 6.5? Absolutely, right? I have unrestored a book before that has a 1-inch color touch right here, right at the corner. I bought it at a 6.5. It's barely, not even 1 inch. It's more like 3/4 of an inch, okay? And the color touch was a pen. Somebody used a black ink pen, like a ballpoint pen, and they just color over the white line. So it's easy to take a scalpel or a knife. I remember I used a scalpel, I think, and I just scrape off a little layer of the color touch right here. And the book grade exactly the same. Okay, I regrade the book because the book has other flaw. Other flaws of the book kept it a 6.5 regardless of the 3/4 inch color touch right at the corner here. So that's an example of the grade not going down much because the flaws are small compared to what the grade is. Same thing with, say, glue or tear seal. If you have a book that have, you know, an inch spine split and somebody used a little glue, removing that 1 inch part or scrape off the glue, put the tear back where it's supposed to be, it's not going to knock a book down a full grade or two, okay? It might knock a book down half a grade if it's like an inch tear. Okay, so my answer to that type of question is that it depends on where the flaws are, depend on what kind of restoration there are, and depend on what the grades are. You know, it's just you can't apply any kind of formula. You know, whenever I read on the CCC forum or anywhere else where people throw out a blanket assumption, oh, a 6.0 extensive restore, if you unrestore that, it might be at best of 1.0. Based on what? Based on what? Okay, it might not be even a 1.0. Maybe it would be a 0.5. You know how restoration can be so well done these days, where they leaf cast the entire cover and fill in all the missing pieces, right? So it is not easy to throw any kind of formula that can be applied to every situation. My best advice to people is that it's a gamble, no doubt. Unrestore a book is a gamble, and some gamble is worth taking. The only advice I can give you is if you're buying a purple label, let's say a 5.0 purple label, and you know a 4.0 blue label is worth not that much more, then it's not worth it. Okay, if a book knocked down 2 or 3 level become expensive in a blue label, then you know the answer without even the need to crack it out and unrestore the book. It's not going to be worth it. Now, if it is, you know, if a blue label 2 or 3 grade below what the purple label is and still fetch a big premium, then it's worth a gamble. So it's all about the price differentiation between a blue and a purple, as well as what kind of restoration there is. You know, it's a tough question. It's a tough answer to give because whoever it is that asked me that question, I'm sure didn't get the answer he or she was looking for, because I didn't give them a definitive answer, because it cannot be given, especially when I did not see the book. You know, whenever people ask me to help grade a book, this applies to the same situation. Send me a few scans. It's awful. It is absolutely awful to get an email where someone said, "Hey Nick, what do you think the grade of this book is if it's have a 4-inch tear?" Is that it? That's the. What about the rest of the cover? Is the rest of the cover razor sharp? Give me more information. Okay, so same thing with the purple label unrestored issues. A lot of time I need to see the book in hand and look and what can be done, as far as what can be unrestored and how uglier it can look, and what kind of grade it can get before I say it's worth doing it. And that's it for this episode of You Ask, I Answer. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.